Hello everyone and welcome to my roundup. Let's kick off with what's been happening in the UK. Government came out very recently to announce that it will be going live in April 2029 with its B2B electronic invoicing mandate. So this is huge news. It's likely to be a decentralized four-corner model, and for the time being, e-reporting will not be included in scope. It will be looking to leverage the Peppol network, which is being used extensively across the NHS and for B2G transactions in the UK. So that's great. It's already had a warm start. The UK's already had a warm start with Peppol, and it will likely deploy this considerably in 2029. And this is all fantastic news. The UK is not part of the EU, so it's not covered by VEDA at the moment. It's got autonomy, can do its own thing. It's great that it's made a very clear signal that it's looking to keep up with its 27 members, 27 neighbours that are deploying their own versions of VEDA, their own B2B mandates. So this is great from a business efficiency perspective, from a competitive perspective. But let's remember that the VAT gap in the UK is £9.5 billion each year. Those are the 23-24 numbers. £9.5 billion each year that is not collected for various reasons. Now, if you think about other countries that have deployed B2B e-invoicing mandates, like Mexico, like Chile, these are countries that have closed their VAT gaps by 50% because of B2B mandates. Now, if the UK can get to those kinds of numbers, we're talking about closing gaps to the tune of £4 billion and £4 billion, £4 billion pounds, and £4 billion pounds, of course, would be very welcome across the UK and boosted into the UK infrastructure. So very exciting news, and yes, the UK government will come out with more details around what that roadmap looks like at the next budget, which will be November 2026. Whilst we're talking about the UK, let's just talk a little bit about Ireland, because Ireland only came out probably about 6-7 weeks before the UK government to talk about what they're going to do with electronic invoicing and mandated B2B invoicing. So it's only coming out mandating electronic invoicing 6 months prior. So they'll be going live in November 2028 with its mandate. It will be a 3-phase rollout, starting with large taxpayers and moving down to smaller taxpayers after that. The obligation will be to move to electronic invoicing, but also e-reporting. So that's a little bit different to the UK. Ireland also a Peppol authority, so Peppol framework will also be utilised quite considerably for its B2B flow. And it's important to note that even if you're not in the large taxpayer band and you would come on board in either phase 2 or phase 3, please do note that as of today, it seems that all businesses must be able to receive structured electronic invoices, even if they're not required to send, by November 2028. So just bear that in mind, even if you come into a later wave. Now let's talk about 2 countries that are coming online within the next 3 weeks. So we'll start with Belgium. Belgium goes live with a big bang mandate as of the 1st of January 2026. It's been considered a very comprehensive programme in terms of how the government has communicated the changes and specifications to corporations and to service providers. So I think that mandate's been given a big thumbs up so far. It's a big bang rollout. It's based on Peppol, starting off with a 4-corner model, electronic invoicing mandate, and then introducing e-reporting. That's marked for 2028. What they've come out recently to say is that there will be a 3-month grace period for taxpayers. So everyone's expected to, all taxpayers are expected to be ready on the 1st of January. But if you aren't ready within that first 3-month period, and it's because of a technical issue or a systems issue that you can actually provide evidence for, then you won't have to pay the fines. But you do need to provide that evidence Otherwise, you will have to pay the fines. And the fines are not insignificant. It's €1,500 for the first non-compliant invoice, 3,000 for the next, and 5,000 for the third, and subsequent invoices. Croatia is also another country that's coming on board in the EU as of the 1st of January. And in some ways, it's similar to Belgium, in other ways, it's not. So it's almost a big bang. So all taxpayers will need to be, so VAT-registered businesses will need to be ready to go live on the 1st of January. And then 12 months later, all non-VAT registered companies will go live with electronic invoicing. It's a bit more complicated because it's e-invoicing and e-reporting. So it's both of those together. So it's a little bit more demanding for companies coming on board. And something else that's worth factoring in is that the fines and the penalties are huge. So the penalties are in the thousands to tens of thousands. I wrote a LinkedIn post on this a couple of weeks ago, and it's also on shared services link in our news section. The biggest penalty that I could come across was to the tune, it was €66,000. So yeah, compliance is key, and I couldn't see anything about a grace period there. Let's move on to other countries. Slovenia delays again. Now, this is the third delay for Slovenia. Initially, they were due to go live in June 2026 with their B2B electronic invoicing mandate. Now it is slated for 1st of January 2028. Whilst this postponement was being announced, they also took the opportunity to talk about the revisions to the e-slog framework that they are using, and mentioning that it is now Peppol compatible. So that's good news. Also, they have announced that real-time reporting was going to be part of the overall scope. That's now been dropped. Let's talk about Hungary. Hungary is preparing to align with VIDA. So just to take a step back on that one, Hungary came on board in 2018 with a its B2B mandate, B2B, B2C and B2G mandate. And this was before VIDA was something we talked about, and VIDA was not in place. So Hungary, Romania, Italy, they all came on board with their own national mandates. Unfortunately, for those countries, they do need to re-engineer their models to comply with the VIDA framework and align with VIDA. So this is what's happening with Hungary at the moment. Hungary is in consultation to make sure that its next version of its mandate is going to get the rubber stamp, as it were, from the stakeholders across the nation. So at the moment, it's looking like that Hungary will become a Peppol authority. The scope will be B2B and B2G. It will use EN 16931 as its format. It's proposing e-reporting and e-invoicing. So it's a decentralized CTC exchange model. Something that's a little bit unusual, but becoming more and more popular, is that it will be including pre-filled VAT returns in its scope. So if you have a business entity in Hungary, well worth finding out more about all of that and participating in the consultation. Consultation is open until the 20th of January. So if you do want your voice to be heard, participate in that questionnaire. Two more countries for us to talk about. Let's talk about Spain. They've delayed the Verifact2 obligation for SMEs and self-employed individuals. What does all this mean? Spain's mandate is a little bit different, again, in flavour to its neighbours. It's not rolling out a B2B structured electronic invoicing mandate per se. Its Verifact2 obligation is slightly different. Something else that's been a bit unconventional about the approach is that it was looking to onboard SMEs and self-employed individuals first before large organisations or large taxpayers, and now that's being flipped. So this is the news here, it's being flipped. So SMEs and self-employed were going to come on board in July 2026, and now that's changed to July 2027. Large taxpayers, the deadline for them to come on board remains exactly the same, which is January 1st, 2027. And finally, Malaysia. So Malaysia's been live with e-invoicing. It's e-invoicing mandate for quite some time now, and it's a phased approach, and many of its waves are already live. It announced quite recently that it is dropping its final wave. So its final wave was due to go live in July 2026, and that was for taxpayers with an annual turnover of less than approximately 210,000 euros. And that category now has been dropped, cancelled. So if you were in that category, you've got a little bit of time in your hands, because at some point there will be an eventual kind of inclusion into the mandate, but that has not been announced, but it gives you plenty of time to get yourself ready. That's it from me for now. I hope 2025 was a good year for you. I'm wishing you a very happy Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, and happy holidays, and happy New Year. Looking forward to jumping into 2026, and it's going to be a very busy year for anyone in e-invoicing or in tax. And I look forward to catching up with you then. All the best.